I want to die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather, not screaming in terror like his passengers. Jack Handy. DZ Tribe, Josh Thomas. Really glad to have you. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast, The Do Zone, on Apple and or Spotify. And then just to let you know, this podcast is brought to you by Unbreakable Teams. We use a science-backed process to triple your company's productivity without additional costs, without having to hire anybody else, without having to take any more of your time, so that you can maximize your impact as an entrepreneur. To learn more about how we can help you dominate the next 12 months, head over to unbreakableteams.com. Once again, that's unbreakableteams.com. So let's put some whiskey in your cake. I randomly was driving down the interstate one day. I live in Austin, Texas, and just north of here is another little town called Round Rock. And as I was driving past the main strip of restaurants, I saw one that stood out to me, and it was called Whiskey Cake. And I thought, you know what? I like whiskey, and I also like cake. What a perfect match. That's like the best idea I've ever heard in my life. And so I just kind of filed it away because it wasn't like next door to my house. It was a little bit of a drive from where I lived. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then one day I decided to go. Took a friend with me. We sat down at the place and it was packed. There was all kinds of people in there, but it was a little bit late. It was. I think it was like a Monday or something, but it was a little bit late, 8:30, and I think they closed at 10. And so walked in, first of all, first impression, this place was hopping, and everybody was having a good time. The music was just the perfect level to where you could talk and still be entertained. The lighting was just at the perfect level to where you could see things, but you weren't being kind of like blinded by the light. It was the great ambiance, a nice warm light, had this kind of industrial theme to it, exposed beams and wood beams and metal. Super great place. Apparently it's a chain, and so maybe there's one near you, or if you live in Austin, just go to Round Rock and you can check it out there. And I want to tell you about Whiskey Cake. Because it was one of the greatest dining experiences I've ever had. Now, the food was great. Don't get me wrong. It's not necessarily about the food, but it's about the attention to detail in every possible aspect. That attention to detail was so strong that it was the thing that stood out to me the most over the quality and flavor of the food, over the ambiance, and over the massive selection of whiskey that they had, which was very, very massive. I was super impressed, actually. So they were able to seat us pretty much immediately, and we sat down, and then a lady came up. I think her name was Mary. She had like red hair, which was kind of cool, but she was super kind, very knowledgeable. And she asked us, hey, how can I help you? And she had all of the right words to use. She had all of the right responses. She had a recommendation for what to eat because we didn't really know what to pick. And so we picked some kind of beef Wellington or something like that. I don't remember exactly. It was like a beef sort of thing, like a beef roast-ish type of thing. And that was incredible, by the way. And I'll get back to that in a minute. And then I'm at a place called Whiskey Cake. I'm going to get some whiskey. And so they had these whiskey flights. And so you can just select, I think it was a half-ounce pour of 4 different whiskeys. And I was a little overwhelmed. And so I gave her a couple of suggestions. I picked one, and I said, can you have somebody else pick the rest of them for me? Yep, got it. Our bar manager is here. He knows exactly how to pick a flavor profile for you. Don't worry, I got you. All right, cool. And so she goes away and we're talking and we're just admiring the beauty of this place. It smells nice. It sounds nice. It looks nice. All of the people working were perfectly dressed in their uniforms. There was nobody out of uniform. There was nobody with like a shirt untucked. None of that. And since we got there a little bit late, they were starting to clean out the tables as people were leaving. They weren't seating any more people because it was going to close soon. And as we were waiting on our food to come, we could see multiple servers and front of house people cleaning furiously, like desperate housewife cleaning. Like, no offense, sorry if you're a housewife. I mean, I'm not trying to say that you're the best cleaners in the world, but it's just like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's just like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen, like how furiously they were working to clean. Not only were they sweeping the floors, but they were pulling out their cell phones and turning on the flashlights and looking for crumbs they may have missed to clean those out. And at the same time, there was another group of people that were very carefully cleaning off the tables to make sure that they were clean. They had these little wooden dividers. There was this one really long table. It had to have been, I don't know, 2 tables that were like 15 feet each. And then what they did is every 4 to 6 seats, they would have these wooden dividers to kind of like separate it between parties. They would pick up the dividers and clean the bottom of the dividers and clean out any of the crumbs that had collected under the dividers. There were water glasses sitting on these tables that were unused, and they were clean, and they would pick up the water glasses and they would hand clean them with a rag